latest and greatest god has been released in Smite. Cliodhna the Banshee Queen. I hope I am saying that right. I'm probably not, but who cares? I'm going over a quick and comprehensive guide for her today. If you're interested in the quick guide or the comprehensive guide, there is a timestamp in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and skip to the part of the video that you wish to see. Other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Anything at all helps out. Thank you for your love and support, guys, and enjoy the video. Alright, we're jumping right into the quick guide for Cliodhna. She is a squishy, high damage tank. That does not make any sense. She's a squishy, high damage assassin. She's very much a traditional assassin. She wants to go in, use her abilities, get a kill, or lower someone pretty low for a teammate to pick up, and then just leave. She doesn't want to box. She doesn't want to stay in a fight prolonged. It's not her... It's just not her thing. She wants to basically go in and get out, and then come back when all of her soft cooldown. We're gonna quickly go over her abilities in just a second here. We're gonna go over the passive. So her passive allows her to enter walls. She basically goes in and she's untargetable. You can't see her. Wards won't pick her up if you place her at the edge of the walls. The only way you can know she's in there is that you see her go in, or when you're near the wall, there's actually music that plays that indicates that she's in there, and I will play that for you in just a second here. As you can see, that my health bar was also dropping at a very rapid rate. So when you're in the wall there, you actually get a stacking debuff that starts removing your health over time, so you can't just camp inside that wall. When you hit about 20% health, it will boot you automatically out of the wall at a random location. Also, when you're at 20% health, you're also not allowed to go into any walls. Last thing to note with this ability is your first, third, and fourth ability do different things when you're in the wall, as opposed to when you're outside of the wall. And I will go over that towards the end of this guide. So her first ability is this whale. She screams, doing DLT damage, and then a final burst of damage at the end. The enemy god is also deafened, and they actually lose audio for a couple of seconds. This can be kind of helpful with if you have any like gods on your team that have like pretty key audio that goes off, like Loki when he goes invisible and activates his buff for his knives, or when a Vulcan ults. So it can kind of help in certain aspects of the game. Not super helpful, but it's a cool little thing. Her second ability is she shoots out this ray that does damage and explodes when it hits an enemy god. Additionally, it makes it so that god cannot see you for a couple of seconds. You literally do not exist for, to them. Obviously, you're still there. You can still be hit. You can still do damage to them. But if you are hit or you do damage to them, you flicker into existence for a couple seconds, and they can see you for a brief second. Her third ability is her dash, her escape, and her engage. There's two parts to it. There is the initial dash and then a cone attack at the end. So you can do damage if you dash through somebody, and then again when you hit with that cone attack. You can do this, end this early by hitting the ability twice, or hitting the ability and then left clicking right away. Her ultimate opens a portal, and that's Banshees out. They do a pretty good chunk of damage. There is two instances of damage to that ability. You have the initial burst that comes out, and then the TOT damage that occurs right after. These portals can be destroyed by enemy gods. They're not indestructible, and I think you can have about 3 of them out at a time. They're pretty relatively a short cooldown. You can use them often. They also slow, so it's actually really good if you're chasing somebody to just pop this as you're chasing them, because it will force them not only to stop running in a straight line, it will get them to go sideways, but it's also slowing them. Now, we're going to quickly go over your abilities when you're in the wall. Your first ability is a huge AoE cone outside of the wall that does damage. It basically does the screen outside of the wall. It makes like a little face. It's kind of creepy. Your second ability is unusable. Your dash can actually be procced pretty much twice, as you can see here. So you'll like instantly teleport to the edge of the wall and then do the regular dash. This is really helpful if there's like an enemy guard you see on low health but they're pretty far away. You could use this to get into the wall and essentially have a double dash, letting you catch up to whoever it was you were trying to gun down. When you were in the wall for your ultimate acts a little bit differently than it normally would. So when you use your ultimate, it actually just sits there. As you can see, the portal's there. Enemy gods cannot see these. Allies can see them, and these will not go off until an enemy god or a minion gets close to them. So if I lure this Neef over, you're going to see that these are going to go off, and they're going to nuke her. Yeah, goodbye, Neef. So yeah, you can set little traps, little corridors and stuff, key points on the map. It's really good in Conquest, or isolating key objectives. It's actually a pretty awesome ability. And with that, that is the quick guide for Cliodhna. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Anything helps. And I'll see you in my next guide. Bye! Welcome to the comprehensive guide to Cliodhna. We have quite a bit to go over here, so I'm not going to waste too much of your time, and we're going to go over every little detail to this god. So Cliodhna is a squishy, high-damage assassin. She's very much like traditional assassins. She wants to go in, she wants to do her damage, and then she wants to leave. She just wants to sit there boxing, and then she can get a kill with a couple of autos. She really just wants to get in and out. We're going to go over her passive really quickly here. Well, not quickly. There's a lot to her passive. So her passive is called Phantasmal. It allows her to enter walls. You can only enter the walls that are within the interior of the map. You can't enter any of the walls on the exterior, obviously, because that'd be a little bit hard to code or whatever. While you're speaking is hard. When you're in the wall, your abilities do something entirely different than when you're outside of the wall, and I will go over each and every different instance of the ability one by one in a second here. When you're in the wall, you get a stacking debuff. This debuff removes your health as you're sitting in the wall, so you cannot camp inside these walls because it will just basically reduce you to nothing. I will show you in a second here. As you can see, there is the debuff going off right there in the bottom left. It goes up to, I think, 40 stacks, and the longer you sit in here and the higher that stack gets, the more health you're losing. Additionally, when you come out of the wall, you get lifesteal for a couple of seconds. This is going to be helpful to regain some of that health that you lost while you were sitting inside the wall. Now, let's show a couple of those damage numbers that you're getting from your health debuff and the lifesteal. So, oh yeah, that's another thing to note. This ability can only be used once every 16 seconds. When she's in the wall, she's losing 0.15% or 0.5. Every half a second, she's losing 0.15% of her health. This is stacking up to 40 times. If you are crippled or CC'd in any way, you cannot enter the wall. If you're below 25% health, you cannot enter the wall. If you're in the wall and you get to about 25% health, it will automatically boot you out of that wall, which is not fun if you get automatically booted out of the wall with low health and there's enemy gods around, because you're pretty much just a free kill. If you're wondering when you can go back into the wall, there's actually a timer that you can see that shows up right there. Once that goes to 0 and you get the green dot, you're able to enter the walls again. It will also let you know if you're below the 25% health, the orb will not be glowing, letting you know that you cannot go in the wall at the current moment. Her first ability is called Banshee's Wail. She does 3 different instances of damage with a final burst at the end of the ability. If you're hit with the final burst of this ability, it actually causes the enemy god to be deafened for a couple of seconds. They lose all audio for a couple of seconds. I think it's about 1.5 seconds. Additionally, when you're using this ability, you're immune to knockups. Very helpful. This is what the ability looks like. So there was the 3 instances of damage and the final burst at the end there. Her first ability is Banshee's Wail. She does a really loud scream, scary fucking scream that does multiple instances of damage with a final burst that does the most damage at the end. It also deafens the enemy player, making them lose all audio for a couple of seconds. And you are also immune to knockups when you're using this ability. Very helpful. It's actually kind of good if you think you're going to get knocked out by somebody to just use the ability so you're not interrupted. You can keep, like, good example, if you're running away and Hercules wants to hit you with his knockup. You activate the scream and you won't have to worry about that. When you're in the wall, this ability does pretty much the same thing other than the deafen. It gets a much wider cone, it shoots a face out of the wall, does the scream, and the damage. Very easy, very simple, very amazing ability. Absolutely love it. Let's look at her stats for that, for Banshee's Wail. So, it does 3 instances of damage, and you are deafened for 1.5 seconds if you get hit with the final part of this ability. You do 35 damage per instance of the beginning 3 ticks at level 1 with 95 at the end with additional physical power scaling. The final hit damage is 70 at level 1 and then 230 at max level with additional physical power scaling. Cliodhna's second ability is Flickering Visions. This is the only ability in your kit that does not work with your passive when you're in the walls. It shoots out a ray that does damage and explodes upon contact with the enemy god. It additionally gives you movement speed and makes it so that enemy god and anyone else that was hit with that final explosion of the ability is making them unable to see you for 4 seconds. This is really helpful for when you're 1v1ing or trying to escape from somebody when you're low health. You basically hit them with this ability and just leave. Or if you're engaging, it's really nice. You could like simply hit them with this ability and then vanish into the wall, and then they'll be like, oh, where'd she go? Oh, I guess she left. And then you'll come out of the wall and just destroy them. She's not entire. She's like, you can still hit her. She isn't simply just removed from the game. Basically, if you get hit with auto attack or an ability from an enemy god, she will flicker into existence for a couple seconds, and vice versa. If she's hitting you with auto attacks or an ability, you will see her briefly for about, I think it's like a half second. Now we're going to go over the stats for this ability. So the bolt damage is 310, and the movement speed buff is 25%. And yeah, I was correct. When you hit somebody with this ability, you were able to see her for exactly 4 seconds. Her third ability is Lurching Claw. It is a dash. This is your engage, your disengage. This ability has 2 separate instances of damage. So you have the first the dash range, and then a cone at the end, which is a cleave. So you can do initial damage with the dash as you pass through an enemy god, and then the second damage when you hit that cleave. You can end this ability early by hitting the ability and then hitting it again, or by casting the ability and left clicking. When you're in the wall and you use this ability, you kind of can get this to go off twice, which I'll show you because that doesn't really make sense. So as you can see, there's the dash normally, but if I come towards the end of this wall here, you'll see that it doubled, and it's gonna do, when I cast this right now, it just freaking blinks me right to the end of that wall and then does the dash regularly. This is really helpful, especially if there's an enemy guy you see on low health and you want to catch up to them. You're gonna catch up to them with that. I covered a lot of ground with that dash there. That's something you can abuse. It's also good for if you want to get out. You know, all of a sudden you're gonna see, if you go into a wall and use that dash like that, the enemy guy is gonna see that you're halfway down the map all of a sudden. The ability, I think that's all it does. Yeah, it doesn't do anything else other than that. The damage at level 1 is 35 and 135 at max level with additional physical power scaling, and the claw or the cleave, the second part of this ability, does 90 damage at level 1 and then 290 at max level with additional physical power scaling. Cliodhna's ultimate is called Tearing the Veil. Now, this ability has 2 different uses. You have the regular use outside of the walls and uses inside of the walls. So we'll start with what it does outside of the walls. So when you cast the ability, I'm going to cast it on these buttons over here. You open up a portal that does initial damage and then continuous damage as it's opened. This ability also slows people that are hit with the ability. Now, when you use this when you're inside of the wall, it acts a little bit differently. It actually acts a little bit like a trap. So you can set these up and you'll see that they are not going off right away. The reason for it is these won't proc, if I can get on the wall, until an enemy comes close to them. So if I lure this Neef over, you're going to get blasted by these as soon as she gets within their range. And as you can see, boom, dead Neef. You can have 3 of these out at one time. If you try placing more than 4, it will take your earliest, I guess your first one that you casted, it will remove that one and keep the other 2. So what I like to do with this ability is just set up little corridors, little chokes with them, and just kind of lead people to them because they'll just get bursted and they'll die, and yeah, it's just a great time. Gonna go over the stats here. So the opening damage at level 1 for Tearing the Veil is 150, and at max rank it is 450 with additional physical power scaling. The continuous damage after the rift is open is 80 at rank 1, and then 240 at max rank with additional physical power scaling. The slow is 6% and it persists for a second and a half, but you can get 6 stacks of this. So if the longer you sit in that rift, the harder the CC is going to stock up on you. Now we're going to go over leveling order. I have 2 different, I guess you could say, builds or leveling orders that you can go with her. If you're playing Conquest and you're jungling with her, I recommend maxing your dash, your 3rd ability, because it does more damage and allows you to clear a lot quicker. And then maxing your whale, your 1st ability, then your ultimate, and your 2 you can kind of leave it for last because you're really only using that for movement speed and escape. It's not super important to have that leveled up right away off the bat. Now, if you're playing any other game mode like Clash, Arena, or Joust, I recommend leveling your whale first, then your dash, ultimate, and your 2nd ability last. And we're gonna quickly go over some combos you can do with her. They're pretty simple combos, easy things to do. Usually you want to start by casting your 2, dashing onto your opponent, canceling it, starting with your Scream, and if they're running away with you, you can open up a rift to do more continuous damage, and, you know, if you're chasing them, keep that up. That slow is going to stack, and it will allow you to chase and kill your target. That is the more confrontational way of doing it. She very much wants to get like a surprise attack on people. So what I would like to do is when I'm in the wall, I'll set a trap, wait for them to get in range of it, dash out of the wall, hit them with your 2, and finish with your Scream and just get some autos. If you have another charge of your ultimate, you could cast it, but usually that combo is enough to kill somebody if they're squishies like ADCs or other player assassins. Other than that, that's it for leveling and combos. So now on for the do's and don'ts of Cliodhna. I'm not going to be able to say her name properly, I'm sorry, so bear with me. Basically, she doesn't like a lot of confrontational fights. She likes to catch people off guard. She's very much a traditional assassin. So just kind of get in the mindset of setting traps or simply just going in, hitting people with your abilities, and then just simply dipping and waiting for your soft to come off the cooldown. So as you can see here on the right, I have set up 2 of my portals for this poor unfortunate Neith. So I'm going to get her to chase me. I'm going to basically lead her over to this wall where I've set this trap. And as soon as it goes off, I want to dash in and help secure. In most cases, that won't be enough to kill gods, so you'll have your 2 or your whale still left. And if you set those traps prior, you could even start by putting up another portal right in front of her and then dashing in and doing everything else. So, like I was saying, with this character, this god, you very much want to set up traps. You don't want to do a lot of confrontational fighting, and you definitely don't want to do boxing. And obviously, you know, if you go in and use your abilities and they're like low health, obviously don't just leave. You can try to secure the kill with some autos. But like, say you go in, you do your thing, it's just you and them, and they're at half health after everything you've done, it's probably good to just back out because their team's going to show up soon. Or if it is a hunter and assassin, they'll have all their stuff up that they're going to hit you with, and depending on most builds, Cliodhna or Cliodhna, whatever, however you say it, is very squishy. She'll go down quite quick. And think that's everything I have for do's and don'ts. Just basically, you want to use trickery, come out of the walls, surprise attacks, all that lovely stuff. If you can, try to start most fights from within the wall, either using your traps or your whale from inside the wall, like such. Something like that. I mean, I guess that's another thing you could do. You could start with a portal, you could go with a whale, dash out, hit them, use your 2, so on and so on. But that's everything I have for do's and don'ts. And that was the quick guide and comprehensive guide for Smite's News Edition, Cliodhna. Cliodhna, I really don't know. Thank you for watching. Please leave a... God, I can't speak. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to try a little bit better of posting videos a little bit more, I guess a little quicker. I'm going to try to get on a bit of a weekly video upload. I am very busy with work, so hopefully I can, you know, do it. But I'm going to try a little bit better to get these videos out a little bit quicker. And I look forward to seeing you in my next God guide. Thanks for watching. Bye now.